And I think Hailey, after what happens at the end of season 8, she's reaching out for kind of the one stable thing, the one good thing. And she wants to hold on for dear life. Mm-hmm. And so, does it come from a genuine place? Yes. But is the motivation also coming from a dark place too? Absolutely.
What can you say about where we pick up after the cliffhanger of last year?
We pick up it's like the end of last season ended in such a fever pitch, with everything that happened with Burgess getting shot, and we don't know if she's going to make it. And Halstead and Atwater are on one side of how they view, getting the job done and policing, and Voight and Upton and Ruzek are on the other side. And then Hailey at the end of the episode, everything that happens with her, kind of being in the wrong place at the right time and the right place at the wrong time too. It's really intense. She saves the day, but also, takes this hit, on her soul kind of. And so we pick right back up where we left off, and Burgess is in the hospital. And the whole team is trying to find the killer. Little do we know, the killer has been found. So it's going to be a really fun one for the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we know that you got proposed to at the end of last season.
Totally.
Ish, I guess if you can call that a proposal.
I actually forgot that at one point. Like I was doing an interview for the TCAs like last week at one point, and they said, so let's talk about the proposal. And I had to that's right, the proposal, because so much happened at the end of the season. But yeah, I think, Jay and Hailey have been together, and they obviously love each other very much. And I think Hailey, after what happens at the end of season 8, she's reaching out for kind of the one stable thing, the one good thing. And she wants to hold on for dear life. Mm-hmm. And so, does it come from a genuine place? Yes. But is the motivation also coming from a dark place too? Absolutely. So time will tell. We'll see. When does Jay find out about what happened? Does he connect the dots that this is why she asked him, so there's a lot of things at play.
I mean, he's a pretty good detective, and it's pretty clear that she's lying and hiding things right away. So I can't imagine it would take that long.
Yeah, no bull crap. Yeah. So, it's interesting because it's not fun storytelling if you have to jump to the end of the story right away. So you kind of have to drag it out a little bit, but it's hard playing detective in an elite unit who also is unaware and isn't putting the dots together right away, But I think we made it work. And I think it's good storytelling. And I'll say this, that eventually Jay does start to put it together. Yeah. So we'll get that moment for sure.
Like you had said before, obviously the way the unit runs, not everyone is on the same page with how things are right and wrong. And obviously with things going on in the world right now, you guys dove really hard into that last season. Is that theme going to kind of continue throughout this season of everyone kind of butting heads and not sure? I mean, we saw it so much last season. So is that going to be?
I think this season is going to be, the unit's a family. And I think this season is going to be a lot about everybody defining what that family means to them and how they perceive the family and their part in it and how they belong to it. And so you will see that, but you'll also see us we're going to have to grow back together at some point, which should be really cool.
How is that going to kind of weigh on him too, to realize that something's off and he's not really being let in?
Anytime there's a secret, there's going to be trust issues, right? So maybe there's some trust stuff. Mm-hmm. Jay's gone through his fair share of keeping secrets, though, and doing some shady things that he's kept from Voight, kept from Hailey, kept from the unit. So hopefully there's compassion in it, but maybe a rupture in the relationship. Who knows? Some distrust there. We'll see.
I want to know your reaction when you read the script and kind of read that he was going to be proposing to her at the end of the first episode, because I was actually I was caught off guard by that.
I got it. It made sense. I appreciated it because it's all right, then, if that's a real thing and Jay's going to go, okay, so this came out of the blue, but these feelings are genuine and I feel the same way, then let me take some ownership and let me do it right, and I'll own this too. And I'll, and he kind of proposes right back, and he does it, and he makes it legitimate, I think. So I appreciated it, and I think it'll be fun for the fans too. We've never seen Jay like that. He's a pretty stoic character most of the time. So to see him vulnerable, or to see him on the edges of vulnerability, I think it's probably fun for the fans.
I was gonna say, I feel like obviously we've seen him in relationships before, but this is such a different, almost more just playful, laid back side of him, which is kind of refreshing. It must be kind of fun.
The show, it is, right? The show needs that sometimes. We're so dark. It's every case, it's wait, what did this horrible person do to this victim? Oh gosh. Yeah. So, when there is levity, to break up, the intensity of the season, sometimes I think it's great. So yeah, there's some cute scenes in a couple of the episodes in the beginning of the season.
Well, is he going to get a ring?
Oh man, what? I actually don't have the answer to that, because look, he proposes and all is well until he starts going, wait a second, something's wrong. And obviously Hailey's guilt and the shame of what happened and keeping the secret and all this stuff, it's going to eat a dirt. Obviously Jay's going to see that. So who knows what happens to that proposal, once we're in the middle of the season.
How will that kind of pressure weigh on him? Because obviously we could see it already with her. The guilt is completely taking over her, understandably so. So how is that going to kind of weigh on him too, to realize that something's off and he's not really being let in?
Anytime there's a secret, there's going to be trust issues, right? So maybe there's some trust stuff. Mm-hmm. Jay's gone through his fair share of keeping secrets though, and doing some shady things that he's kept from Voight, kept from Hailey, kept from the unit. So hopefully there's compassion in it, but maybe a rupture in the relationship. Who knows? Some distrust there. We'll see.
I always thought if we got a wedding within the unit, it would be with RHOC before anyone else. But I guess
that makes sense. But it still could be. It still could be. We don't actually know. It still totally could be. Right?
No, we're not hearing wedding bells. Yes, just yet. So.
Not yet. I haven't seen it in any of the stage directions, so I'll let you know if I do.
Absolutely. I know last season it was tough because of COVID. Have you guys been able to do any crossover stuff this season yet?
There's been some mini crossovers. You'll see, I think Leroy's Atwater, he was just on fire for a second, or maybe he was on med. There's always going to be a character here or there bopping around. As far as I know, we haven't planned one of the huge, 3-hour events. Mm-hmm. COVID might make that difficult, but it's not off the table. That's all I could really say about it. Hopefully, because it's such a fun night for the fans. So We'll see.
Absolutely. Is it fun for you guys, or is it stressful? Because I would assume it's a little bit of both.
It's a little stressful. It's also really fun. You get to play with all the other characters, the other actors in the universe. So it's fun. Logistically, it's stressful. Planning wise, it's stressful. You're trying to keep track of, okay, I'm episode 9 of my show, but it's episode 10 of this show, but we're also doing episode 6 of that one. You're like, wait, how is this? And so some of that gets a little discombobulating for your brain, but it's all good fun.
For sure. All right. Well, before we go, what can we expect from Jay at work this season? Is there going to be big cases that he's going to be personally involved in? I mean, he's gotten a little too involved in many cases, so I'm curious.
Whatever do you mean?
Just gonna say.
Yeah, this season, so it starts off, I've had a lot of fun so far, even just in these first handful of episodes. There was a great episode we did where we get a little bit more of a clearer picture into Jay's time in the military. I know we've touched on, he was a veteran, he served in Afghanistan, he was a Ranger, all these things, but we've never kind of met anyone from his past or discussed any specifics. We did a PTSD storyline, but this episode that I'm talking about, I think it's episode 3 of this season, we meet a character from his past and we get some specifics as to why he doesn't talk about Afghanistan. And there's a little bit more depth there. So that was really fun to play, and it should be interesting for the fans. Yeah. there's also going to be, obviously there's going to be a huge, kind of come to Jesus moment, I think, with Voight once Jay finds out about what transpired at the end of season 8.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really interesting. And the fallout of that and how that relationship repairs itself or stays fractured or what have you, that's going to be something to see.
Is this case going to be kind of overlying throughout the season? Can we expect that? That even though the case is, closed, but really only...
I can't imagine something like that not hanging over people's heads for a while. So at least for a good chunk of the season, maybe even half the season. I can't tell you. I don't know. The writers know way better than me. So we'll see.
Awesome. Jesse, it's always nice to chat with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You too so much. Thank you.